Salutations, my name is Kevin Perjurer, and welcome to another edition in DEFUNCTLAND. For
Hey,
background/context on this series, please visit thepurge.com with the link below. Today we will be attempting to resurrect our first non-Disney attraction, Jaws the Ride,
Tier 1
that
Zillow
operated
Trance.
in Universal Studios Florida from 1990 to 2012. This is also our first viewer-suggested addition to the park, so thank you to Cinematic Psycho Productions for the comment. To all of you Disney fanatics that don't care about Universal Studios, stick with me, because there will be plenty of Disney history weaved throughout this story.
Universal is so much better than Disney,
in the
though.
1960s,
Disney
Universal,
fucking sucks,
who at the
unless you
time
just
was owned
love
by
Disney
multimedia
movies.
company MCA, completely refurbished the Universal Studios tour, creating the beginning of Universal Studios Hollywood as we know it today. This put them in direct competition with other LA-based amusement park, Disneyland. As Universal Studios Hollywood continued to add additions to their park, including a Jaws encounter during the studio tour, MCA kept a close eye on Disney. When word got around that Disney was planning on operating a new theme park in Florida, MCA followed closely behind, with a new studio tour in Orlando in an attempt to attract some of the tourists that would be traveling to Walt Disney World. This began the ongoing feud between Universal Studios and Disney. I won't dive fully into the feud, as I would be touching on the history of future DEFUNCTLAND attractions, but just to give you an idea, yeah, they're basically the same thing. So Disney MGM
Except Universal's much better.
Construction in 1985, obviously angering Universal as Disney had copied many aspects of their plan and already existing park. However, luckily for Universal and MCA, they had recently found a developer for their Orlando park. They had also found a creative partner, Steven Spielberg.
Hey, good
if you
guy.
watched the first episode
Good guy to have on
DEFUNCTLAND,
your
you'll
team.
remember that George Lucas was heavily involved in the development of attractions for Disney at this time. And if you don't already know, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg are very close friends, who found themselves in competition with one another in the late 1980s due to this feud. Universal decided not to make their Orlando park the same as their Hollywood tram tour out of fear of being accused of copying Disney. They decided to instead focus more on film-based attractions, such as Confrontation and Jaws the Ride. The creative head of Universal
Jaws
Studios
was one of the
Florida
first ones?
was
I didn't know
former
that.
Disney Imagineer and Steven Spielberg's college roommate, Peter Alexander. Universal had no experience creating epic attractions like Disney's, so the management was worried about the concept of the Florida park. Alexander spearheaded the ride, and Ride and Show Engineering agreed to produce it. The first version of the ride cost $30 million to make in the late 1980s, which, factoring in inflation, yeah, it was expensive, and the results were interesting. The original Jaws ride took guests on a pontoon boat captained by a employee, who would guide the boat on a tour of Amity, the town in Jaws. And shockingly, the guests spot a shark! 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 Shark!
The most exciting thing that ever happened on this ride is when I almost fell off.
In the boathouse
That's literally the only exciting moment of this ride I ever experienced.
The robot shark would actually take a bite out of the boat and attempt to spin it. This would have been amazing, except for it almost never worked correctly. Like the robot made for the movie Jaws, the Jaws ride sharks experienced a variety of problems. First, sometimes the robot shark would not lunge out of the water to grab the boat. Second, if it did, the robot's shark teeth would sometimes damage the boat because for some reason they used real shark teeth. In the finale of the original ride, the skipper would shoot the shark with a grenade launcher. It would then explode and chunks of shark would fly out of the water.
Yeah, I remember that.
They would fly out of a small air cannon and then would be filtered back in and recirculated. The sharks were guided by computers and could swim at 20 feet per second. It was an impressive ride, but did it work as they had planned? No.
Fuck no.
The answer is no.
That shit, when you got on the Jaws ride back in my day, what you were doing is just taking a boat ride to just relax. Literally nothing would happen, and half the time your boat guide wouldn't say a word.
This little New England village seems like any
This shit was terrible.
In summer. Young men thronging around the shooting gallery, people basking in the sun, crowds taking photographs.
Thanks to Stewie, Heisenberg, and Decomposed, and Scott Steiner.
White shark. But this is a movie set.
The Mummy ride is still good.
Turns an elemental fear of the water.
It gives a big wiener.
To screaming terror. But today the sea is calm. It's a good day for a boat ride.
Jesus Christ! Good lord!
MGM Studios opened on May 1st, 1989, and a year later, Universal
What they should have done is
Studios
just put real sharks in
opened
there.
on June 7th,
Fuck it.
1990. Opening day was a star-studded
Not that they do
event.
anything,
Celebrities
even if
such
they
as
were real. I
Sylvester
mean,
Stallone,
just
Steven
fucking swim
Spielberg,
around.
and Bill Cosby were in attendance. The opening was a huge success for people that like to watch everything go wrong.
I hope this cuts. This is a lot thicker than what we rehearsed with.
The power went out just hours before the opening. Many of the attraction's automation systems weren't operating, and Jaws had to shut down due to a thunderstorm after a few hours of operation.
Oh no.
Steven Spielberg was rumored to be stuck on the ride during this time. The following few days of opening did not go much better. Jaws was still not operating correctly.
Good.
One skipper was quoted as saying, "Imagine explosions over there." These problems would continue with the ride. At times, Universal would inform guests in the morning that Jaws would not be open that day, regardless of whether it was or not. Universal tried to stay positive about the ride, but it became apparent that it wasn't operating properly. On top of this, they would be faced with a lawsuit, as during one voyage, a guest fell off the boat and into the water with Jaws. He was on a family trip with his children, and were obviously mortified that their father would be eaten. Worse, he fell in one of the 10 feet deep areas where the sharks are held. The other areas of the ride were only 4 feet deep. If you haven't figured it out already, this means that he was incredibly close to the mechanics of the ride. He even recalled that the shark was swimming right toward him. When the employee managed to get him back on the boat, the other guests clapped, thinking it was all just part of the show. He sued Universal for $1 million.
That's it?
This, along with the fact that the ride shut down almost daily, helped Universal come to the conclusion that it was time to drastically change the ride. The original version of Jaws closed after only 2.5 months of operation. It is safe to say that Universal and MCA were mad. They sued Ride & Show Engineering for not designing the ride properly. Ride & Show claimed that their handiwork was not at fault, and that Universal did not give them enough time. Ride & Show even said that they were looking forward to the case, so that they could prove that Universal messed up and not them. They later settled out of court, with Ride & Show commenting, "Basically, Universal didn't have any experience with a ride like this. If we had built something like this for Disneyland, Disneyland maintenance would have taken it over and made it work." Oh no, they didn't. Universal was now determined to get Jaws operating correctly as soon as possible. And after more delays and more problems, they finally settled on a 1993 opening date. They hired Totally Fun Company to redesign the ride.
My favorite ride at Universal is Men in Black.
Alexander. They also hired a variety of contractors to complete the many different aspects of the attraction to ensure that it was done correctly the second time around. The new story incorporated elements from both Jaws and Jaws 2. In the new ride, the
Shark! 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 Shark!
Oh, fuck!
would not bite the boat or be blown to pieces, but there would instead be a gas explosion, and the shark would be killed after it bit a high-voltage wire, such as in the end of Jaws 2. This was Peter Alexander's final suggestion before he left the project to go to the other end of the park and produce shows.
I don't think I ever wrote it when it was like that, to be honest. I only remember the original.
Pyrotechnics testing it purposefully designed it so that the guests could feel the heat without getting burned.
Oh, actually, I do remember this.
They accomplished this, as guests regularly complained that they had been burned by the fire, mostly by those that had already had sunburns from a day at the park. The main issue with the original attraction was that the water made it difficult for the robot sharks to go from a complete standstill to lunging out of the water. Universal decided to hire Oceaneer International, a company specializing in products that assist in deep-sea exploration, to build the sharks. They were able to accomplish this, although the detail of the sharks does not match that of the original attraction. But who cares about details if you can't see them because the ride is always closed? An interesting aspect of the remodeling was the testing phase, because in order to view changes made to the attraction, the technicians would have to take a round trip on the boat as they could not go in reverse. This means that they were taking trip after trip through the ride to witness minor changes. With all of these contractors on board and $40 million later, Universal was able to complete the second version of the attraction for a soft opening in 1993, using the term technical rehearsals until 1994.
Use of Absolute and the Bit cigarette. I mean, it was a dog shit ride, though.
No survivors. And you thought this only happened.
Man, I can't believe that dude fucking fell out into the mechanics. That's nuts.
So the final
hopefully he got his $1 million.
Like this. As you waited in line, you were taken through the boathouses of Amity, including TV screens playing WJWS13. It had a lot of different programming with numerous references to the film and other movies as well. Once you were done waiting in line, you board one of Captain Jake's boats with the skipper to tour the island of Amity. You take off with your tour guide explaining the shark attacks of 1974 that were later turned into a hit movie. They also point out the houses of some of the characters of the Jaws movies, until suddenly they get a call of distress from Amity 3. The skipper tries to see what is going on and finds Amity 3 sinking. Then the guests see
Shark! 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 Shark!
The skipper pulls out the grenade launcher, not realizing that it is actually loaded at first, and fires at the monster.
Oh god!
The skipper misses a second time before hiding in a boathouse to wait for Chief Brody. The shark tries to break in, and the skipper struggles to escape, but does just in time. Chief Brody tells the skipper that he'll be there in 10 minutes. The skipper replies with the now famous line, "We'll be shark bait in 10 minutes," which doesn't actually make sense since technically they are already shark bait. Anyways, the shark comes back and the skipper misses with the grenade launcher once again, this time accidentally igniting a nearby gas dock. The skipper then explains that they are going to unload the guests onto a fishing dock in an attempt to save them. However, the shark appears once again, but this time it accidentally bites down on a high voltage power cable, frying it. The guests smell the roasted shark and it makes one final lunge for the boat, but the skipper is able to kill it with the grenade launcher. Everyone cheers as they are returned safely to Amity. All in all, the shark appears 5 times on the starboard side and only twice on the port side, so you were luckier to be placed on the starboard side. So that was Jaws the ride, but hold on because its history is not over just yet. A few notable events took place with the ride after its second release. First, every year the attraction was drained, and the Department of Environmental Protection was tipped that oil and other toxins from the ride were being irresponsibly disposed of, which essentially just meant that they had to change their fuel type and do a lot of paperwork. In 2004,
I like the idea that they're just poisoning the water, though.
To increase in Florida to the point that it was too expensive to operate the Jaws ride, thus causing it to be open only infrequently and seasonally from 2005 to 2007. Also, the attraction was refurbished constantly to ensure that the ride operated correctly. So why was it closed? Unlike other Defunctland entries, this one is pretty simple. Harry Potter. The franchise was going to and did save Universal's attendance numbers, and Jaws was replaced with the Diagon Alley attraction, Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. While the attraction at Universal is gone, there is still a Jaws operating at Universal Studios Japan, and the short scene during the tram tour is still operating.
I thought it was just because it was so fucking boring, they said fuck it.
That is the history of Jaws the ride. There are a few more interesting anecdotes to the attraction that I decided weren't relevant enough to discuss here, but if you would like to read more on Jaws, visit the links below. One is to themeparktourist.com, which is where I got the majority of my research for extraterrestrial and Jaws, and the other is to a Reddit AMA by a skipper who worked on the ride. I recommend checking both of these out. As always, to learn more about where the remains of Jaws are today,
that ride
how I'm going to get them back, and where I will place them in Defunctland.
Kind of nostalgic, though, to see it operating. Thanks to Resub Dale and the Bit Cigarette. Get the orange door? Didn't someone recommend that last time? Oh, that's rough, Mark. That would have been cool. I'm not really just going to watch an anime trailer, man. To the guy that asked if I ever played World War Z, though, did you know that I'm in the marketing material for World War Z? Even though I didn't, like, enjoy the game almost at all. Here, check this out. What the fuck was the, what was the commercial? Let me see if I can find it with this. Where is it? Fuck, it's been so long, I don't remember. What was their TV commercial? Like their TV spot? Maybe TV trailer? Oh, I'm just a fucking idiot. That's not gonna work. Anyway, apparently their marketing team was combing Twitch for people playing World War Z. And at the time I was playing their multiplayer and just goofing around and celebrating every multiplayer kill sarcastically. And they took one of the clips where I was just going fucking nuts and pumping my fists in the air and put it as a, this game is exciting, look at this guy. It was pretty cool. Someone sent me that in an email because they saw it at a bar they were at and I was like, no fucking way. And then lo and behold. That was a while ago. Thanks to Resub Honeydew. No, it's just an old video, Mudman. Thanks to the bits, yeet. Alright, last Defunctland and then we're switching it up, but this is a really cool rabbit hole. Thanks to the resub, Bissy. And the Bits Cigarette and Jimmy.
Hello, I am Kevin Perjurer, and welcome to the first video in my new series, Defunctland, where I will be creating my very own amusement park using attractions that are no longer operating. For background/context on this series, please visit thepurge.com with the link below. Today we will be attempting to resurrect Disney World's past attraction, extraterrestrial alien encounter.
We'll see.
This show, found exclusively in Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland from 1994 to 2003, has a long and fascinating backstory, so let's get right into it. When Michael Eisner became the CEO of Disney in 1984, he wanted to be more...
Quick pause. That's what it's called? World War Z reaction trailer? This is the one that they aired on TV? Well, that didn't work at all. Gamers' reactions to the zombie horde. I don't think that's the one. Oh, it's this one, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it's definitely this one.
Oh shit! Do you see that? Oh my goodness!
At some point, my shit's in here for no reason.
Oh my god!
Exit Tier 1 ass eater.
He's a fucking zombie!
No, this isn't the one. He said fucking. That would not be on TV.
You guys see how many of them are here?
Oh, maybe it is. I don't remember. It's been too long.
That guy.
Oh, the good old days. I'm in there twice, but after that, it's downhill. That's all you need to see. I sold that game with that reaction.
He attempted to do this by beginning his
God, that was a monster, that multiplayer.
What
a game.
He invited his teenage son, Breck, to come along with him. After a tour of Disneyland, Breck expressed the sentiment that the park lacked a cool factor. This worried
I don't know if everyone
Eisner,
on this ride called, but we'll see.
Surveys to determine if the parks were failing teenagers.
It was good? Fuck no.
Was that
I didn't enjoy that game at all.
But instead of going the typical approach of adding roller coasters, he decided that he wanted to add exciting and intense shows to the parks. This is when the George Lucas that everyone loves, not the George Lucas that everyone hates, entered the picture. He began collaborating with Eisner to add attractions like Star Tours and the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. This gave Eisner the idea to incorporate another sci-fi movie into the parks, Ridley Scott's Alien.
Ooh.
Because I know when I think of Disney, I think of this.
That's pretty cool. I love the thought process.
It's safe to say that this wasn't an unorthodox choice for an attraction at a Disney park.
Can't click
the
links,
concept
Big Z.
was, believe it or
I'm
not,
assuming it's Street
more
Beef,
terrifying than the theme. The Alien ride was to be like Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin.
Oh yeah, that's the only good ride there.
At Zurg, you're in pitch black darkness shooting shotguns at murderous aliens. The head Imagineers were appalled by the idea, and they convinced Eisner that this would be a horrific addition to Tomorrowland. This angered him, but he decided to give up on the ride. However, a small group of young Imagineers weren't ready to let the idea go, and they found a solid excuse to pitch it again. An attraction called Mission to Mars was in dire need of retooling. Mission to Mars opened in 1975,
I will not be eating pictures.
Replacing the similar attraction, Flight to the Moon.
Sounds
Flight to the Moon, originally named Rocket to the Moon, was one of the original Disneyland attractions, and all three variations of the show were very basic. Guests would enter the theater, which had a circular design with screens on the floor and the ceiling, simulating a trip to outer space.
People dumped loved ones' ashes on the Haunted Mansion ride?
The new Imagineers hoped that they could replace Mission to Mars with a show starring Xenomorph, the alien from Alien. Eisner loved the idea, but the head Imagineers did not. The head Imagineers decided to go to George Lucas, who agreed that Alien was not a good fit for the park, although it could have just been the fact that he was jealous of the film's success. You know, he gets like that sometimes.
There's no way to know what's going to happen. You know, we're never going to beat Titanic. Nobody can.
So Lucas convinced Eisner that he should drop the Alien tie-in and make the attraction less frightening. Eisner told the small team of Imagineers to continue with the attraction with the help of Lucas, but without the use of the franchise. This original attraction would be called Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter. In 1994, test audiences experienced the show for the first time, and they were horrified. Many complained that it was too scary, but Eisner didn't agree. He was concerned that small flaws in the show, such as plot points and timing, were holding it back from being as scary as it could be. The attraction closed after a few weeks of testing for adjustments, but Eisner essentially gave up on the project 6 months into the retooling for unknown reasons. Nevertheless, he allowed extraterrestrial alien encounter to open.
Scott, the Magic Kingdom as a whole.
I really want to see this fucking ride now.
It's the all-new Tomorrowland. Hold on to your seat as Scott gets set for a chilling visit with an extraterrestrial.
Fear not, people of the future. We are simply visitors from
Thanks
your
for
past.
Lactual and Trulo.
We are friendly. Hi. And we come looking for scary attractions. We do.
I miss
I'll check
when
it out,
Disney
Mumbo,
World
for sure.
promos were hosted by drunk dads instead of annoying kids.
Hi, where are you from?
London, England.
All right, so you are an alien.
Hey, Steven.
Yes.
Man, this guy is trashed.
I know you're all a little nervous, but I'm sure there's nothing to worry about. No, it's all right. So just this is part of the chair. Hopefully.
Holy shit!
All right, everybody, here comes Mr. Alien.
God, this guy fucking sucks. Oh God! Real glass? Actually, just blows real glass into the crowd. That'd be nuts.
It's not good. I mean, it's, you know, it's great, but it's not good. There's something loose in here. It's over there. Sorry, it's over there.
So, what is the ride?
No, I'm not going to tell you what happened. But you don't want to miss it. Because it's not going to miss you. Anybody seen my shoe?
So the attraction was broken into 3 parts. Guests enter the Tomorrowland Interplanetary.
I'm confused. So you just sit there and like watch
some
the alien escape?
At the center. These are quite humorous. Mission to Mars, History or Hoax, referencing the previous attraction Mission to Mars while also taking a shot at NASA truthers. Championship Pet Show with the tagline, because when it comes to your space pet, what goes down must not come up. And the Walt Disney Company's Pan-Galactic Stockholders Meeting. Then XS Tech is introduced as the current holder of the convention space. The video has an introduction by the company's president, L.C. Clench, portrayed by Jeffrey Jones. That detail becomes quite important later.
After all,
if something can't be done with excess, then it shouldn't be done at all.
This video is quite eerie, and white noise is pumped into the room to add to the effect. The next area is a demo hosted by a robot named Sir, short for Simulated Intelligence Robotic. He shows the audience an example of XS Tech's teleportation technology, the focus of the main show they are about to see.
No, you may not get out. You're a lucky volunteer.
During the 6 months in between the soft open and the grand opening, some parts of the pre-show were tweaked to be more sinister in an attempt to scare children away before the real horror.
Yeah, take that, dumbass milk-drinking, diaper-wearing kids.
Technology on a cute alien named Skippy. Sir tells Skippy that he is going to teleport him across the room. This has some pretty gruesome results.
Phase 1 of the process has begun. Disintegration into molecular components. And here's the little skipper now. Oh, shut up, Scruffy. You're not burned. You've just got a healthy glow.
Now comes time for the main show, which is difficult to describe. Special restraints were added to the Mission to Mars scenes that enhance the experience. The restraints lower and a video begins on the screen attached to the walls around the room. 2 XS Tech employees begin to introduce the demonstration, but are interrupted by Clench, still voiced by Jeffrey Jones, still important later, who claims that he doesn't want to teleport someone in the audience, but instead himself.
Yes, very.
Hello, everyone. I recalculated our plan. You see, if we bring one of you
So this is all the pre-show to the alien ride?
One of you. However, if I'm teleported to Earth, I can meet all of you, shake each hand, and personally answer all your questions about the wonders of excess. I'll be with you in just a moment. Prepare yourselves for an unforgettable encounter.
During the
Man,
process,
they put a lot of
however,
effort in the pre-shows. I never noticed.
An alien from a foreign planet is transported into the room instead. The alien breaks out of the teleportation tube, and the power surge causes the lights to go black. Certain special effects enhance the attraction's experience. For one, each chair is surrounded sound speakers that assist in visualizing the location.
Yeah, I know it's Lilo and Stitch now.
Also, water is misted on the audience to simulate the creature's saliva, or excess blood, as he eats the employees. The final main show has some more changes that weren't in the original version. For instance, many audiences didn't realize that the alien had the ability to fly, so dialogue was added to make it more clear.
It's been long. Since when
I can't see a
does
fucking
have
thing.
Wings?
Wink.
Also, Eisner noticed that the audience was screaming over integral plot details, so the ride's pace was changed and this line was added.
People of Earth, quiet! Listen to me, please! Don't scream! If you remain perfectly quiet, it probably won't eat you.
The experience.
Eisner seems so personally offended that his plot isn't working that well.
The shields barricaded in. The house lights come on and guests exit the area. And that was extraterrestrial alien encounter. So what is there now? Well, in 2004, it was replaced by Stitch's Great Escape, essentially a kid-friendly version of Alien Encounter. Instead of the alien licking you and eating people, Stitch burps in your face. Many fans of Alien Encounter
I must have went on the
and it never became
Alien
truly
Terrestrial at some point.
In fact, in September 2016, it was announced that the attraction would become seasonal only, as opposed to daily as it had been for 12 years. So why was it closed? Well, no one really knows, but there are some good guesses out there. Most obviously, the experience was absolutely terrifying, and many guests complained that it was inappropriate for the Magic Kingdom. Also, Lilo and Stitch was a huge hit in 2002, so the change makes sense from a marketing standpoint when you consider that Alien Encounter didn't have a movie tie-in, and there had recently been a welcome addition of a cartoon alien to Disney's character lineup.
True, that all makes sense.
The most interesting reason for its closure is Jeffrey Jones. Yes, now that is important. He stars in the footage throughout the attraction as Clench.
Yeah, someone recommended him a while ago,
one year before Alien Encounter's closure, Jones was arrested for child pornography and luring and photographing an underage boy.
Oh.
This is a huge no-no for Disney.
I would think so. A pretty big no-no for society, too, in fact.
This is speculated as one of the reasons Alien Encounter was nixed. So that is the history of extraterrestrial Alien Encounter. Click on the link below if you're interested in learning where the remains of Alien Encounter are today.
What a crazy
how
conclusion.
I'm going to get them back, and where I
And this scary ride was closed because the actor in the pre-show was a pedophile. Just as you would have expected if you'd been paying attention. What a twist. Is it Tier 1 Project Rona? No. Oh my god, don't even tempt. He's made something on the Back to the Future ride.